Hi. I'm Erin Gruwell from the movie Freedom Writers. I know firsthand how difficult building a classroom community is. This is especially true in a diverse classroom. It took my master teacher skills to create a loving and safe environment for my students. Soon my students saw that I cared about them. I did this by creating fun, meaningful, and engaging activities. Through those learning experiences, I made the students realize that they were all alike in some way. I also modeled respect. And they eventually not only respected me back, they developed respect for their classmates as well. It was a long hard year with a lot of ups and downs. But by the end of the school year, we has a strong classroom community. Come to my class, and you will see the work of a master teacher.
So, Miss Gruwell, I understand that you had some commotion in class today. Don't worry, they won't all make it to the end of the year anyway.
I'm not sure why someone would say that. If a master teacher does our job, the students will want to stay in class and learn.
You must understand that some of our students will not come from supported homes. They might be many grade levels behind their peers. They will lack social skills.
Unfortunately, they may have experienced neglect, abuse and even violence.
Good teachers have knowledge of diversity such as ethnicity, gender, language background, social-economic status, and exceptionalities. I understand how diversity can enrich teaching and learning. Because I have an understanding of cognitive differences, I will develop appropriate learning activities. I also am aware of the impact of home and community factors on my students' experiences. I will take this into consideration as I plan instruction. My students will thrive.
Well, good luck to you, Miss Gruwell. You have a tough job ahead of you. I get the feeling that the faculty here have given up on these students instead of embracing their diversity. There is so much more to their abilities than they are given credit for.
Oh no, there is no way I'm going to sit by a white boy.
Why do each of you feel like you have to get rid of anyone who is not like you?
White people have put us through a lot. I don't think they can be trusted.
Jamal, what do you think?
Nobody respects us. No one even cares about us.
A master teacher understands the needs of the students. I see that these students need to get to know each other without color being a factor. With this in mind, my instructional design is student-based as well as content-based. It also supports internal motivation. I encouraged students to share their life stories with me through journal writing. Over time, they began to enjoy writing and they wrote more and more. Their ability to put their thoughts on paper and writing dynamics improved, and I was able to assess their growth. A master teacher also plans ahead and knows where to find resources. I found authentic literature that my diverse class connected to. I chose the Diary of Anne Frank. A master teacher can appropriately establish a classroom climate that is safe and productive through classroom routines, schedules, and managing student behavior. Class, as we begin this school year, I want each of us to commit to being a part of a classroom family. This means a safe place to make mistakes. You will not be ridiculed or made fun of. As a family member, we will strive to help each other learn and correct our mistakes together. Does everyone commit to this? It seems a few of you need to think about this. I tell you what. I will create a behavior contract where we all sign and agree on having a safe classroom environment.
Sure, we will all sign the contract.
There are many pieces that go into creating a positive, productive classroom. Not only do students need rules and consequences, a sense of community must be formed. Diaries can be powerful and moving ways to communicate. Can anyone tell me about a famous person who wrote a diary during a time of conflict?
Yeah, that girl in the attic.
Yes, Anne Frank. Your classmate is wise. I'm not sure why you chose to laugh at him. We agreed that mistakes are okay in our classroom. We are to treat others with positive regard.
I hear the classroom management is going well. What strategies have you used?
Well, I was upfront about the standards I expect in a class community. They agreed to a contract that included what the consequences would be if they misbehaved.
Did you use any positive reinforcers?
Why, of course. Using reinforcers ensure that students will follow basic rules and help move them toward self-management. I am excited to see how they will work together. Racial tensions run high in this neighborhood. After catching a student passing a derogatory picture of an African American boy, I was reminded of Nazi propaganda. Because a good teacher implements effective responsive instruction, I decided to abandon the grammar lesson I planned, and go forward on a literature study of Anne Frank. This is going to be challenging for us, but in an amazing way. We are going to use a variety of techniques to study Anne Frank. You will find yourself working in social studies, science, human relations, philosophy and, of course, English. And don't forget your journals. As you make connections, you can write poems, entries, songs, anything you want. Remember, they won't be graded.
Aaron, I hear you designed a unit around the story of Anne Frank. Can you share how you will engage students and foster higher-level thinking?
As I spoke to my students about the Holocaust, I noticed them actively listening. I wondered how they might relate to the fear and suspicion that the Nazi and Jewish people felt. As a master teacher, I know that students will be more engaged in learning that feels authentic to their own experiences. Then they will pay attention and actively participate.
How will you master the art of questioning? Will blooms fit in with your lesson?
As we read through the diary of Anne Frank, I will construct questions on various levels. I will have students recall information and classify information. I will then move on to having them apply, analyze, and evaluate what they have learned. It is my goal that they will gain empathetic understanding and cultural sensitivity.
Aaron, will you incorporate any technology in the lesson?
Yes, at the end of the lesson, students will develop a creative audio or visual presentation of their findings. We also would like to be able to share our work with the parents and others in the community. Students will be assessed on their presentations. Collaboration with my teammates at Wilson High was rather difficult for me. My colleagues thought my students to be unteachable. And they did not support my teaching efforts. A support system at this school did not exist. I took it upon myself to raise funds so that I could take my students to the Museum of Tolerance in LA.
After the museum, Mrs. G took us to dinner to meet with Holocaust survivors. She arranged for all of them to meet us.
Field trips provide unique opportunities for student learning. But it is important to follow school procedures as well as provide safety measures. Because I worked hard at building a class community, I gained the trust of my students. I planned and engaged students in authentic student-directed activities. Wilson High struggled to meet the needs of these students. As a master teacher, that was my priority.
Mrs. G believed in us.
She respected us, and we respected her back.
She taught us to look at each other without race in mind.
She continuously engaged us in active learning.
She always followed the rules, and expected us to do the same.
We loved Mrs. G so much, we wanted her to stay our teacher.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our presentation of how the Freedom Riders exhibited the works of a master teacher in each of the 4 domains. Happy teaching, everyone.
This presentation was brought to you by Sonia, Sierra, Brandy, Jennifer, and Teresa. References used were the movie Freedom Riders, the books, Becoming an EC06 Teacher in Texas, and TEXCSPPR Prep Book, by Beatrice Newman, Ph.D.